Your specific person feels you before they even know why. Imagine for a moment that the connection you're longing for has never truly disappeared. What if, even in the silence, even without a single message, your specific person has already begun to feel your presence in ways they cannot explain? There are moments in life when logic falls silent and the heart begins to whisper. A familiar thought appears out of nowhere. A forgotten memory suddenly becomes vivid. An unexpected feeling of longing rises without warning. They may not why your name keeps crossing their mind. They may not understand why they feel pulled toward you after weeks, months, or even years apart. But something deep within them has already started to move. The unseen always comes before the seen, and every visible transformation begins with an invisible shift. Today's message is about recognizing the incredible power of your inner world and understanding that lasting change starts within you first. When you stop feeding fear, doubt, and uncertainty, and instead choose confidence, peace, and the expectation of love, you naturally begin to show up differently. Your thoughts become calmer, your emotions become steadier, your actions become more aligned with the future you want to experience. This inner transformation often changes the way you relate to others, opening the door for healthier communication, deeper connection, and meaningful reconciliation where both people are willing. While no one can guarantee another person's choices or feelings, changing your own mindset can profoundly influence your own life and the relationships you build. So, if you've been wondering whether your story is over, whether distance means disconnection, or whether silence means you've been forgotten, let this be your invitation to shift your focus. Instead of chasing certainty in the outside world, begin cultivating it within yourself. The most meaningful relationships are built from authenticity, emotional growth, and mutual willingness, not fear or desperation. As you listen to this message, allow yourself to embrace hope, strengthen your confidence, and become the version of yourself who naturally attracts love, respect, and genuine connection. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't begin with a text message or a grand confession. It begins the moment you choose to believe that your own inner peace and growth are worth everything. And from that place, remarkable possibilities can unfold. Your inner state reaches them first. Everything meaningful begins within. Before the world reflects a new reality, there is first a quiet transformation in your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotional state. Many people spend their days searching for signs that their specific person is changing, checking their phone repeatedly, analyzing every interaction, or wondering what the other person is thinking. Yet the greatest shift happens when your attention gently returns to yourself. Instead of asking, "When will they notice me?" you begin asking, "Who am I becoming?" This subtle change in focus is powerful because your inner world influences the way you perceive situations, communicate, and carry yourself. When you consistently choose thoughts rooted in confidence, peace, and self-worth, you naturally become calmer, more patient, and more emotionally grounded. That inner stability often creates opportunities for healthier interactions and stronger relationships. Rather than living in uncertainty, you begin living with quiet assurance that you deserve mutual love, respect, and genuine connection. This confidence is not about pretending everything is perfect, it is about choosing not to let fear define your future. Every time you replace doubt with hope, every time you refuse to replay old disappointments, and every time you decide to believe that better experiences are possible, you strengthen your own emotional foundation. People are often drawn to those who radiate authenticity, calmness, and emotional security, because these qualities foster trust and openness. Your specific person may not immediately understand why your presence feels different, but the way you show up can influence the tone of your interactions over time. Real change is often gradual, beginning with countless small choices that reshape how you think, feel, and respond. When your inner dialogue becomes kinder, your outer behavior naturally follows. Instead of reacting from anxiety, you respond with clarity. Instead of chasing validation, you value yourself first. Instead of expecting rejection, you remain open to healthy possibilities. This transformation benefits every area of your life, not just one relationship. You begin attracting experiences that align with the confidence you have cultivated. If reconciliation becomes part of your journey, it is strongest when it grows from mutual willingness, honest communication, and emotional maturity rather than fear or pressure. Relationships thrive when both people feel respected, heard, and free to choose each other. As you continue nurturing your own mindset, you may notice that conversations become easier, misunderstandings lose their power, and moments of connection feel more natural. Even if the path unfolds differently than expected, your inner growth remains valuable because it creates lasting results and peace. Remember that your greatest influence is over your own thoughts, choices, and actions. That is where genuine transformation begins. When you consistently embody the qualities you hope to experience love, patience, compassion, confidence, and emotional balance become someone who is prepared not only to receive love, but also to sustain it in a healthy way. The outer world often reflects the patterns we repeatedly reinforce within ourselves, which is why lasting change starts with the person you become. Trust your growth, honor your progress, and continue choosing thoughts that support the life and relationships you truly want to build. Every peaceful thought, every hopeful expectation, and every act of self respect becomes another step toward a future shaped by authenticity, mutual care, and meaningful connection. The invisible connection is always active there. Are seasons in every relationship when the outside world appears completely silent. No messages arrive, no conversations take place, and no obvious signs seem to suggest that anything is changing. Yet silence does not always mean the absence of care, reflection, or possibility. Human beings continue to process emotions, memories, and experiences even when they are not expressing them outwardly. It is common for someone to unexpectedly remember a meaningful conversation, wonder how another person is doing, or feel prompted to reconnect after time has passed. Rather than assuming that silence tells the whole story, it can be healthier to recognize that people often need time to reflect, grow, or understand their own feelings. During this period, the most empowering place to direct your attention is not toward trying to control another person's thoughts, but towards strengthening your own emotional well being. When you cultivate peace, confidence, and emotional balance, you naturally become someone who is better prepared for a healthy relationship, whether it is a renewed connection with your specific person or another meaningful relationship that aligns with your values. An invisible connection is not about controlling another person's emotions or guaranteeing a particular outcome. Instead, it reflects the reality that meaningful relationships leave lasting impressions. Shared experiences, kindness, affection, and genuine care often remain in people's hearts long after the conversation has ended. Someone may unexpectedly think of you because a familiar place reminds them of a memory, a favorite song brings back a feeling, or a quiet moment allows them to reflect on what truly mattered. These moments are a natural part of human psychology and emotional memory. At the same time, your own inner growth changes the way you participate in future interactions. When you no longer define yourself by fear of rejection or constant uncertainty, you communicate with greater authenticity and patience. You stop trying to force outcomes and begin creating space for honest, mutual connection. This shift often makes conversations feel lighter, more respectful, and more genuine. Instead of desperately searching for evidence that something is happening, you become grounded in the understanding that your happiness does not depend solely on another person's immediate response. That sense of emotional independence is deeply attractive because it reflects maturity rather than neediness. If your specific person reaches out, you are able to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. If more time is needed, you remain secure in your own worth instead of allowing uncertainty to define your identity. Every day that you choose personal growth, forgiveness, gratitude, and emotional resilience, you strengthen the foundation for healthier relationships. You become someone who listens more carefully, speaks more honestly, and values mutual respect above temporary reassurance. Whether the connection develops gradually or unexpectedly, the most lasting relationships are built on trust, openness, and shared willingness. Remember that genuine love cannot be rushed or forced. It grows through understanding, consistent effort, and emotional safety. While you cannot control another person's decisions, you can always choose the thoughts, attitudes, and actions that reflect the person you aspire to be. Continue nurturing your own peace, remain open to positive possibilities, and allow relationships to develop naturally through sincerity and mutual choice. The strongest connections are not sustained by fear or constant pursuit, but by authenticity, respect, patience, and a willingness from both people to move toward one another when the time is right. The invisible connection is always active. Have you ever noticed how someone suddenly come to mind without any obvious reason? Perhaps a memory appears while you're driving, a familiar song brings back a feeling, or you unexpectedly wonder how someone is doing after months of silence. These experiences remind us that meaningful relationships can continue to occupy our thoughts long after a conversation ends. When two people have shared genuine moments together, it is natural for those memories and emotions to resurface over time. If you're hoping to reconnect with a specific person, it can be encouraging to remember that silence does not necessarily reveal everything happening in another person's inner world. People often reflect privately, reconsider past experiences, or recognize the value of someone only after time and distance have given them a new perspective. Rather than assuming the worst, choose to focus on what you can influence: your own mindset, emotional growth, and readiness for a healthy relationship. Every day you invest in becoming calmer, more compassionate, and more secure within yourself, you create a stronger foundation for any future connection. Instead of constantly wondering whether they are thinking about you, ask yourself whether your own thoughts are supporting the life and relationship you truly desire. When your attention shifts from fear to confidence, you stop measuring your worth by someone else's actions and begin recognizing the value you already possess. This inner peace changes the way you communicate, the way you respond to uncertainty, and the way you approach relationships. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop trying to force outcomes and instead create space for authentic conversations to unfold naturally. If your specific person reaches out, you are emotionally prepared to respond with kindness, clarity, and self respect rather than anxiety or desperation. If more time passes, you remain grounded because your happiness is no longer dependent on constant external reassurance. This emotional stability often strengthens every relationship in your life, not only romantic ones. Friends, family members, and colleagues are naturally drawn to people who radiate confidence, patience, and genuine warmth. While no one can promise what another person will think or choose, personal growth always benefits you regardless of the outcome. Meaningful connections flourish when both individuals feel respected, heard, and free to make their own decisions. If reconciliation is meant to happen, it is strongest when it develops through mutual understanding, honest communication, and shared willingness rather than pressure or expectation. Continue believing that your life is unfolding with purpose, even when every detail is not yet visible. Trust that every positive thought you consistently nurture shapes your attitude, influences your behavior, and prepares you for healthier experiences. Let your focus remain on becoming someone who embodies love, patience, resilience, and emotional maturity. These qualities cannot be taken away by temporary silence or uncertainty. They become part of who you are, allowing you to approach every opportunity with greater wisdom and confidence. Whether your path leads to a renewed relationship with your specific person or opens the door to another meaningful connection, your commitment to inner growth will never be wasted. The strongest relationships are built not on fear of losing someone, but on mutual care, authenticity, respect, and the willingness of two people to choose each other freely. As you continue strengthening your own heart and mind, you create the best possible conditions for genuine love to grow. Whenever both people are ready to meet each other with openness, honesty, and hope, stop looking for signs. Become the reality. One of the biggest obstacles to experiencing peace in any relationship is the constant search for reassurance. It is easy to believe that the next text message, social media update, or unexpected encounter will finally provide the certainty you've been waiting for. Yet when your happiness depends entirely on external signs, you often find yourself caught in an endless cycle of hope followed by disappointment. A healthier approach begins when you shift your attention inward and focus on becoming the person you aspire to be rather than waiting for someone else to change first. Instead of asking, "Are they thinking about me today?" begin asking, "Am I becoming more confident, emotionally balanced, and authentic today?" This simple change in perspective places your energy where it has the greatest impact on your own thoughts, choices, and actions. As you consistently nurture self-respect, patience, and emotional resilience, naturally approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than fear. You no longer feel compelled to analyze every silence or overinterpret every small interaction because your sense of worth is no longer dependent on another person's immediate response. Confidence begins to replace anxiety, and peace begins to replace uncertainty. This inner transformation influences how you communicate, how you handle challenges, and how you show up in every area of your life. You become someone who listens with empathy, speaks honestly, and values mutual respect over temporary validation. When people encounter someone who is emotionally secure, they often feel more comfortable opening up and engaging in meaningful conversations. While no one can guarantee another person's feelings or decisions, your own growth creates healthier conditions for genuine connection. Rather than trying to convince someone to choose you, you become the kind of person who naturally contributes to relationships built on trust, openness, and mutual care. Every day offers an opportunity to reinforce the identity you wish to embody. If you desire a relationship filled with kindness, begin by treating yourself kindly. If you long for loyalty, practice integrity in your own actions. If you hope for understanding, become someone who communicates with compassion and patience. The qualities you consistently cultivate within yourself shape not only your own life, but also the way others experience you. Over time, this authenticity becomes more powerful than any attempt to seek constant reassurance from the outside world. Instead of chasing signs, you begin creating a life that reflects your deepest values. You pursue your goals, strengthen your friendships, care for your well-being, and continue growing regardless of external circumstances. This does not mean giving up on the possibility of reconciliation. Rather, it means allowing that possibility to exist without sacrificing your own peace. If your specific person reaches out, you are prepared to meet them from a place of emotional maturity rather than desperation. If circumstances require more patience, you remain grounded because you recognize that your value has never depended on someone else's timeline. True confidence is quiet. It does not need constant proof because it is rooted in self-awareness and self-respect. By becoming the reality you hope to experience, instead of endlessly searching for signs, you free yourself from fear and open the door to healthier, more authentic relationships. Whether your journey leads back to your specific person or toward another meaningful connection, the person you become through this process is the greatest reward. When your inner life is filled with hope, gratitude, emotional strength, and genuine self-worth, you naturally create space for love that is mutual, respectful, and lasting. Their heart responds before their mind understands there are times in life when emotions arise, before we can fully explain them. A person may suddenly think about someone they have not spoken to in months, feel unexpectedly nostalgic, or recognize the importance of a relationship only after time has passed. Human emotions often develop gradually, and people frequently understand what they truly value through reflection rather than in the middle of busy daily routines. If you are thinking about a specific person, it can be helpful to remember that meaningful relationships often leave lasting impressions. Someone may revisit old memories, recognize the comfort they once felt in your presence, or begin to appreciate qualities they previously overlooked. These experiences are a natural part of emotional growth and do not always happen according to a predictable timeline. Rather than trying to guess what another person is feeling at every moment, Focus on creating the strongest possible version of yourself. When your thoughts are grounded in confidence, gratitude, and emotional balance, you naturally become someone who is ready for a healthy, respectful relationship. You stop allowing fear to dictate your reactions and begin responding with patience and wisdom. This inner transformation changes far more than your mood. It changes the way you communicate, solve problems, and connect with others. Instead of reacting impulsively to silence or uncertainty, you remain calm because you understand that lasting relationships are built through consistency, trust, and mutual effort. Every time you choose peace over panic, forgiveness over resentment, and hope over discouragement, you strengthen your emotional foundation. That strength becomes visible in your words, your actions, and the way you carry yourself. People are often drawn to those who create a sense of emotional safety because genuine connection flourishes where honesty and respect are present. If your specific person reaches out in the future, your own growth allows you to meet that moment with maturity instead of fear. You are able to have meaningful conversations, express yourself clearly, and listen with compassion because you have already done the inner work of becoming emotionally secure. If more time is needed, you continue living a fulfilling life, instead of placing everything on hold. This perspective protects your peace while keeping your heart open to positive possibilities. It also reminds you that another person's choices remain their own. Healthy relationships cannot be forced, controlled, or guaranteed, but they can be nurtured when both individuals willingly participate with openness and sincerity. Continue becoming the person who reflects the qualities you hope to receive: kindness, patience, honesty, loyalty, and emotional resilience. These qualities enrich every area of your life, regardless of how quickly circumstances change. Trust that genuine understanding often develops through experience and reflection. People sometimes recognize the significance of a relationship only after they have had the opportunity to grow, heal, and see life from a different perspective. Your responsibility is not to control that journey, but to continue your own. Every positive choice you make strengthens your confidence and prepares you for deeper, healthier connections. Whether your path leads to renewed love with your specific person or opens the door to another meaningful relationship, your commitment to personal growth will always serve you well. The heart often begins changing long before every thought is fully organized, and meaningful relationships grow strongest when two people freely choose one another with clarity, respect, and genuine care. By focusing on your own emotional well-being while remaining open to authentic connection, you create the best possible environment for love to flourish naturally, honestly, and in a way that benefits everyone involved. Persistence makes the connection unavoidable. Lasting transformation is rarely the result of one powerful moment. It is the result of countless consistent choices made day after day. Whether your goal is to build confidence, heal from the past, or create the possibility of a healthier relationship with your specific person, persistence is what allows meaningful change to take root. It is easy to feel inspired for a single day, but true growth happens when you continue choosing hope over fear, patience over frustration, and self-respect over self-doubt, even when immediate results are not visible. Every thought you repeatedly entertain shapes your mindset, and your mindset influences the way you speak, behave, and interact with the people around you. This is why consistency matters so much. Instead of allowing temporary setbacks or periods of silence to convince you that nothing is changing, remind yourself that personal growth often unfolds gradually. Just as a seed develops beneath the surface before it becomes visible above the ground, emotional maturity and healthier relationship patterns are often developing long before they can be clearly seen. Your responsibility is not to force an outcome, but to remain committed to becoming the best version of yourself. Every morning you choose gratitude instead of discouragement. Every evening you reflect on your progress instead of your fears. And every conversation you approach with kindness instead of defensiveness strengthens the foundation of the person you are becoming. Over time, these small choices create remarkable transformation. You become calmer under pressure, more confident in your worth, and more capable of expressing your thoughts with honesty and compassion. This emotional stability naturally improves the quality of your relationships because people generally respond well to authenticity, respect, and consistency. If your specific person becomes part of your future, they will not simply be encountering the version of you they once knew. They will be meeting someone who has grown stronger, wiser, and more emotionally balanced. Healthy reconciliation, when it occurs, is most meaningful when both individuals have developed in ways that allow them to communicate openly, resolve conflict respectfully, and support one another's growth. Rather than focusing on whether every day brings visible progress, celebrate the progress taking place within yourself. Notice how you recover more quickly from disappointment, how you spend less time worrying about what you cannot control, and how much more peacefully you approach uncertainty. These are powerful signs of genuine transformation. They prepare you not only for a romantic relationship, but also for success in friendships, family connections, and every other area of life. Remember that another person's choices will always remain their own, and no mindset can guarantee someone else's feelings or actions. However, your own consistent growth can profoundly influence your confidence, resilience, and readiness for a healthy partnership built on mutual respect and shared commitment. Trust the process of becoming rather than rushing toward an outcome. Continue investing in your goals, your well being, your emotional health, and your character. Let your life become full of purpose regardless of external circumstances. Ironically, it is often when you stop allowing your happiness to depend entirely on one outcome that you become most prepared for genuine connection. Persistence is not about endlessly waiting. It is about faithfully becoming the person you were always capable of being. As you continue choosing love over fear, hope over doubt, forgiveness over resentment, and confidence over insecurity, you create a life that naturally reflects those qualities. Whether your journey leads to a renewed relationship with your specific person or opens the door to an unexpected and beautiful future, your unwavering commitment to inner growth will never be wasted. The strongest connections are sustained not by pressure or desperation, but by two people who freely choose one another with maturity, honesty, patience, and enduring respect.